Okay. Hi, Stampers. Hey, I am Christina Taylor, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from North Canton, Ohio, coming to you today with some creative projects that I recently shared at a cookies and cards card making class. So we, of course, had cookies to eat and had some creative time on a Sunday afternoon, and it was a good class. The ladies seemed to enjoy it, and I really enjoyed their company and their creative take on the projects as well. So I'm going to share with you the projects that we did in class, and hopefully they provide you with some creative inspiration as you create. So I'm thinking that's kind of everything that I had to share. I've got my heater on, so if you're hearing like a fan running, it's my little heater that I have down here in my stamping room because I often get cold, and it's chilly today, even though it's March 27th. It's cold, and as you can see, because I've got a turtleneck sweater on, so I'm ready for spring. Okay, so I am going to turn the camera down to the table surface and go ahead and share with you a few things, and then we're going to get started stamping. All right. Okay. So with any luck, I have hopefully fixed my camera from going in and out like it was so much on the last video when I filmed the Fun Folds video. It just kept refocusing. And so I apologize for that. Hopefully I figured it out. We'll see as this video goes along, and I'll see, oh no, I just thought it just there a little bit. I don't know. Bear with me, ladies. If you have any helpful tips, you're welcome to leave them in the comments. I'm happy to listen to some advice from those of you who know better as far as filming videos. So as you're looking or watching the video and I'm sharing the projects with you, if you like what you see, please hit that little, give me a thumbs up, and hit the like button. And if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. And you're welcome to share this video as I'm trying to build my YouTube channel and reach other people. It helps me grow my business too. So I'm grateful for that opportunity to share creativity with you and other stampers as well. So a couple things I want to mention. We've got some classes coming up at the North Canton Y, and the next one coming up is the third Wednesday of April, which is April 19th, and it's all things spring. So by that point, you know, spring has arrived officially as far as on the calendar, although we're seeing signs of it here in Ohio. But then also signs of like winter still wanting to stick around, but I guess that's Ohio, right? So we are celebrating with just beautiful spring card designs. The designs that we'll do in this class will be all occasion cards, and it'll feature spring colors and images that'll be perfect to give this time of year. Then coming up in May, we've got a Keep It Simple stamping card class and a Caring Note card class. So those are all on the third Wednesday of each month, and we've got a morning and an evening class. Y members pay $21, non-Y members pay $23. If you can't make the in-person class and you'd like a kit to go, you can email me at stampmecrazy@sbcglobal.net and reserve a kit to go. And those are $23. You make two of, there's 4 card designs. You make 2 of each. So a total of 8 cards with envelopes and your supplies that you need to create those cards. So just want to mention that. Next up, so on the 29th, so coming up here just in a couple days, Stampin' Up! is posting the retiring, well, we're having a color refresh. So let me back up a little bit. I want to kind of share this with you just to point out. Let me find this on the thing here. Okay, so the color refresh is going to be the in colors, the 2021-23 in colors. That's the polished pink, pale papaya, evening evergreen, soft, succulent, and fresh freesia. Those colors are being retired. And so if you have the ink pads and don't have the ink refills, you will probably want to order them before the 29th. So here just in the next couple days, or cardstock, only because once that's posted, those items are while supplies last and they tend to sell out quickly. Now, that being said, that those colors are being retired, if you will, Stampin' Up! Is also doing a color refresh. So that means all of our color families are going to be, colors are going to be pulled out of certain groups, and then colors that we've had before will be refreshed, if you will, back into these color groupings. It does appear like Lost Lagoon and Pretty Peacock are two of those colors because they're in a current designer series paper that's being offered online. But I don't know what other colors are coming. But there also is a good chance that some of these colors that are technically retiring because they're an in color may be pulled and put into our standard 4 color groups. So we might see these again. But what I'm trying to say, just kind of like went all around that, is that if you have colors in ink pads and you don't have the re-inkers or you don't have the cardstock that you'd like, I would highly suggest you order it sooner rather than later, because once the color refresh is posted with the rest of the retiring items for the big annual catalog and then the mini catalog, those items will be while supplies last. Whether it's color related items or anything with the stamp sets, dies, things that are not carrying over, they are while supplies last. So this catalog ends the end of April. This catalog also ends the end of April. So we will have retiring lists from both of them. And oftentimes those list items are substantially discounted. Some items not. And we don't ever know until it's released, which I hope to get a closer look at that later in the week. And I will then pass that along to all of you in an email if you're on my mailing list. So my current hostess code, if you're ordering online, is WRY6P as in Paul, B as in boy, D as in dog, and P as in Paul. If you are ordering online, you enter that hostess code prior to checkout. That will tell me that you would like the card kits that I offer as just an extra freebie incentive for ordering online and using the host code. Now, if you're not comfortable with ordering online and you would rather I place the order for you, you are welcome to send me your order information and I can do that for you. Oh, excuse me. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry I yawned there. It's like a cloudy, rainy day today here in Ohio. So I'm happy to order it for you and connect it with this code so you're still eligible for those free card kits. And I think that's about it. So just wanted to really talk about these things. If you are a Paper Pumpkin subscriber or want to be a Paper Pumpkin subscriber, just remember that you need to subscribe by the 10th of the month in order to get that month's kit. So you have until April 10th to subscribe to get the April kit. And I will be sending out more details on that particular project in my upcoming email later this week. And sorry, I needed to grab some stamping paper. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started, and then what did I do with the cards here? All right. Okay, on this particular project here, we are using Pale Papaya ink, which is one of the inks that is retiring, or well, it's in the current in colors that are retiring. Highland Heather, which is part of our Subtles line. Then I've got the dual punch here, and this is the Happy Labels punch. This is in the spring catalog, the purple one that I was just showing you, and it's got 2 edges on there. You can make like a ticket edge and then like a small scallop edge as far as the cardstock. And then we are using the Loose Flower Flourishes, which there's quite a few taken out of this one because we used it in class. So these are like See if I can bring them up to the camera there. You can get a little closer look at them. So they're like cute little flower flourishes. There's smaller ones in there and then the bigger size, and you just put them on with glue dots or your liquid glue. So we're going to use those on this card. We're also using the hand-drawn dots. This is in the spring catalog. And then this is the Happy Labels stamp set that is bundled together with that punch that I just showed you. And you've got 12 different greetings in here, and we are actually going to be using 3 of the greetings on our card today. So this is a red rubber cling stamp. And then the folder, the embossing folder that I'm using is the gingham embossing folder. And I think that's it. For those of you that got the kits to go, you may find that you don't have, so we're going to use 3 flowers on each card, and the flourishes are running low, as you can see after my class. Even though I put in there just to use 3 flowers, that is not always observed. So they're limited, and so I need to make some substitutions on some of those. And so I'll try to, as in future classes and things like that, I always try to point out when you're reading the directions, and I try to put in there like the number of items to put on there, just so that it doesn't take them away from another stamper who's making that same project. So I ask that just people be mindful of that. Sometimes, most of the time that's observed, and sometimes it is not. So it's just one of those life things that we just kind of navigate through when it happens. You know what I mean? So you may, if you're getting a kit to go, you might have these Pale Papaya little sparkly embellishments in your kit. You could have these faceted gems, the light purple, the Highland Heather, or you could have the pastel pearls. Whatever you have will coordinate with your project. So just know that, but I just wanted you to be aware if you get those in your kit and you do not have the flowers. So, okay, the project supply. So we've got our envelope, and then we've got a piece of Pale Papaya that's 5.5 by 8.5. And we've got a piece of, now I've pulled out the confetti white for this. The little flecks of color I felt like really went along with the DSP that we're using. And keep in mind, when I design these projects, 2 of them, I designed them during celebration. So there was paper that was currently available. And of course, it's not now at the time of the class. So I just designed a bunch of different projects, and I kind of then just pick and choose what I want to put in the class, and a couple of them just happen to feature that designer series paper. So I do apologize for that. However, I know that we can offer you at Stampin' Up! The company has a large variety of DSPs, so I'm sure there's another designer series paper that is easily substituted for what we're going to be doing. The same with the confetti white cardstock. We carried that years ago, and I grabbed a bunch of it when it was on the clearance rack, and I'm slowly pulling from my stash of that. And I just loved how that looked with this particular card. So I've got 2 pieces of that, and they are cut 4 by 5.25. And then we've got 2 pieces of the Dandy Designs DSP, and that is, they are 1 by 3 inches, and you've got 2 of those. And then, you know what, I needed to, should have another little, I'm gonna have to go grab that. Hang on just a second, because I'm missing 1 piece. Okay, sorry about that. Then you've got a piece of Pale Papaya, and this is cut 1 inch by 3 inches. And then I've got another piece of Pale Papaya that is cut a 1/2 inch by 3 inches. And a piece of Highland Heather that is 3/4 inch by 3 inches. And then I've just got a couple pieces of the white baker's twine, which comes in our essentials pack. So you get a pack like this with the 5 different colors of twine, and I think it's $11 for this 5-pack. And let's see, there must be 7 yards on each one because there's 5 in there and it says 35 yards, so 7 yards. So very reasonably priced too. So I've got 2 pieces of that twine, and they are about here. I had to measure on my ruler real quick. They're about 20 inches long. So you've got 2 of those. Okay. So we're going to start by folding our cardstock or card base in half and flatten that with the bone folder. And then we're going to do some punch ups. So when I'm using the Happy Labels punch, I like to use it upside down so I can see, make sure that my cardstock is butted up against the back of the punch. And I can also determine like placement so that it's not leaning heavily towards one side or the other. So I'm just going to punch that out each end. Just keep doing that. So we had super strong storms here in Ohio on Saturday. And quite a few people were without power. We were fortunate that we did not lose power, but I did a couple times. It was just like, oh boy, I don't know. It was, that wind was so strong. A lot of trees came up, and like I said, a lot of people without power, and some people still are. So I feel very fortunate right now that I'm even able to make this video and share this with you, because there are some people that do not even have power to do so. And the storms went through on Saturday, and it is now Monday afternoon. So that's a long time to be without power. And it's not like it's even that warm. It's only in the 40s today. So that's still pretty chilly. Okay. All right, we're done with our punches. Clean up on my little scraps here. Okay, so we've got all of our little pieces and parts punched out here. Oh, let me give you a quick peek of the card that we're making. I'm sorry, I should have done that before we started here. So here you go. This is the quick peek of where we're going, what direction I'm going as far as the creative direction. So I've got these 3 all stamped with the greeting. They are all, I'm looking, they're all popped up on dimensionals. And then I've got the little floral embellishments on 3 different places there. And the inside is, or the top layer is embossed with that gingham embossing folder. And then I've got some of those dots stamped on the inside. So that's the direction we're going with this one. Let me go ahead and do the ribbon first. So I've got that twine all knotted up there because I folded. Okay. Let me get that little knot out of there. All right, so I'm going to grab a piece of Scotch tape. I find this is best. This works best for me when I'm doing, you know, wrapping something around, is just put it on with some Scotch tape. So what I shared with the ladies at the class was that in place. So I take a little tail of the twine right there, and I've taped that down. And then I've got this going through the top little notch, right? So it's coming up the top notch on that like ticket punch, and I'm going to angle it and take it across at a diagonal, come back up through the center little notch, come down through the center one on the other side. I'm trying to do this so you can see it there, okay? Then I'm going to come up the back side again, go to that last little notch there's not a ribbon in, and then come down to the other one at an angle. So I've got the little crisscrosses there, okay? Then I'm going to flip that over and tape that into place. And you can put it down with your adhesive. I just find it works better for me to do it with Scotch tape. So then I can just fasten it in place. And it's, you know, it's all ready to go. So I'm going to do this other one here. Not with that little guy. Get another piece of Scotch tape. So let me move this out of the way. Maybe it'll be a little easier to see. Okay, so I'm going to start my little tail on the back. Okay. Great. So I've got that start on the back. I'm going to come up with the first notch there. Take that down to the notch on the bottom. Come up to the top again. Come down the middle notch. Go to the middle notch on the bottom. Take it around. Go to that last notch. And then come down to this last one here. So again, we're making the 3 little crisscrosses on our piece there. So grabbing another piece of tape here. Got them placed. Okay. And then, so I've got those 2 pieces. I need to emboss this piece, and I did not do that beforehand. I should have brought the kind of emboss machine over here. So what I'm going to do is take this piece of confetti white cardstock, put this in my gingham embossing folder. And there's a nice line here at the bottom. So we're going to use that as reference so that we know that our grid is going to be straight on our card. And I'm going to just run that through real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, got that. Sorry, I didn't have that prepped. I usually do, and I completely forgot to do that. Okay, so we've got our embossing folder for our front. That we've got that done. And we're going to bring back in our scrap paper here and do a little stamping. Okay. So I've got my pale papaya ink. I'm going to use that and the Highland Heather. And on this top little one, I'm going to stamp just a note. And again, gentle touch. And then just even pressure on that. Stamp that off a bit. And I'm going to clean that with my chamois. Okay. And then on the Highland Heather, I'm going to do the You Are My Happy Place. Just gentle touch on that. Okay. Ooh. Tap that off. If you tap off on your scrap paper that you're stamping on, that tends to then saturate your chamois a little less. So you don't have to clean it out as often. And then I'm going to put the You've Got the Biggest Heart. And again, gently tap that. And we're going to put that on the largest one. That off. Clean it off. Okay, so we've got our 3 greeting pieces. Now I want to come in and do some dots. So I've put the hand-drawn dots on our largest block, which is, I think this one is F. It's F. This is great for our large background stamps. Also, if you like to do watercoloring, this is a great block to have for watercoloring because and if it's hard for you to squeeze the ink pads together to get that ink on the lids, you can just take your ink pad, flip it over and press it on your large block. And that gives you a surface for watercoloring. You can just pull your aqua painters or your blender pens, whatever you might be using, right on this block. The acrylic blocks are great for doing types of watercoloring and things like that, if you don't like to work from the lid of your pad. Okay, so I'm going to shut my heater off there because it was getting a little hot. I had to take a drink of water. I feel like I'm gonna get a coughing spell because the heat was getting too much, and now I'm gonna have a hot flash. So hang on. Sorry about that. I really should have got ahead of it a little bit. Okay, so I just put ink on this, about a third of the stamp, and I'm going to just take and put that on the base of my inside layer and just press down there and get some fun little dots on that to go with the dots that are going to be on the front of the card. And I want to do the same thing on the top of my envelope. This one I'm going to go about half because I've got the flap to cover. So I've just tucked that under my stamping paper. And we're going to see if I can put this down here without getting it all over myself. See how successful we are. We're going to have to stand up to do this. Oh, that's cute. Yeah, I like that. Let me stamp off these dots a little bit and clean that on my chamois. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and shut the inks when I have done stamping so I don't stuck something in there. And then we're ready to layer and assemble our card. And I'm just using my Tombow multi-purpose liquid glue. This tends to be my go-to glue these days. Let's see, which one do I want to use? Use either side of the embossed cardstock, whichever you prefer. This one's gotta get it started here. It wasn't starting, and then I got like a big glob of it. Okay. Put that in front of our card. And then do the same with our inside layer, get that in place. Okay. And God, I can see that I got a little ink on my surface here. It must have been from the background stamp. I don't want that to get on my card. It didn't already. Okay, then I need to get some dimensionals since we want to pop these up. Just gonna flip them all over. And I'm thinking that I use the, say, no, I just use just regular ones. I thought maybe I used the minis. Okay, so I'm just going to put dimensionals on the back sides of all these. Okay. And I'm just gonna get the backs of these off. Go ahead and take them all off at once, and then I can stick them down on the card. All right. Okay, so I'm going to start from the bottom and layer this. Let me come up into the desk surface there because I don't want to be out of the shot that you can't see. So I'm just gonna angle them just slightly just to create different interest on the card. So Right. Lastly, just a note. Okay. Okay, so we've kind of got those going, angled every which way there. And then I'm going to come in with some, and I think I'm going to go ahead and use my liquid glue for this and just put these embellishments on, the flowers on with the liquid glue. Instead of a glue jar. I'm going to try that. And a little bit. There we go. Come in with my take your pick tool. This will work out really well. I can use the putty to just pick one up and stick it down. And grab some little ones. Hopefully there's, yep, there's another little one. And one more. Actually, those papaya little sparkly gems, I think would look really cute on this one too, in addition to the flowers. So I actually should have grabbed those and put those on here instead of using the flowers now that I think about it. So here's a card. So we've got our front there and then inside layer. And that nicely matches our envelope. So this one is the same card, same layout and everything, only we've got the purple little flowers on here. Like I said, if you're doing the kit to go, you may have another embellishment that will complement the project nonetheless. But yeah, so I've got the papaya ones on this example. All right, so I'm going to clean up the table space from this project and then go ahead and grab another one and we'll craft a little bit more. Okay, this next project. So remember how I said the name of the class was Cookies and Cards. So of course we had to create a card with cookies on it. I mean, and to go along with the theme. So this is the card that I have made. Today is a cookies kind of day. I'm pretty sure tomorrow will be too. Happy birthday. So this is a cute, whimsical kind of card that is created with the Nothing's Better Than stamp set. And in it, you can see that those little things, in addition to cookies, is also coffee, chocolate, and cocktails. And you can substitute any of those images to kind of go along with whatever you might be putting in there that you're sending to a family member or friend to kind of just cheer them up. So I particularly like the Today's Plan consume and then put, say, chocolate. And then you can put, like, I'm pretty sure tomorrow will be too, like I did in the card, or because adulting is hard. Because, who doesn't eat a piece of chocolate because adulting is hard. And then it's got the little, like, let's see, a day without, where's that one at? A day without, say, cookies is like, just kidding. I have no idea. If you love cookies more than you love chocolate. But I know people that like to drink coffee would say that about coffee. I'm not a coffee drinker, so that just does not apply to me in any way. And I also don't really drink cocktails, so that doesn't apply to me either. Maybe once in a blue moon I will, but pretty much cookies and chocolate, there's where you get me right there, cookies and chocolate. Okay. So we're using this stamp set. There is a set of dies that goes with this stamp set. We're not using those today, but you'll find that in the annual catalog. And then I've pulled out the art gallery set to take the happy birthday greeting out of here to make this a birthday card. And there's also a set of dies that goes along with this stamp set. We are using the Label Me Lovely punch for this card. We're using Magenta Madness, which is a retired color. You could use Melon Mambo. You could also use Polished Pink. I grabbed the Magenta Madness because the ribbon that we're using is Magenta Madness as well. So they coordinate, Stampin' Up! Has our colors coordinate with all of our accessories and all that kind of good stuff. So you can easily substitute another pink in there. Then we've got crumb cake and early espresso. And I think that's it. Okay. So I've gone ahead and punched out a pink label. I've got our ribbon already ready to go. So I've got a strip of that and then a bow. I'm going to show you how to make a like faux tied bow. And then the pieces of our packet, we've got, of course, our envelope. Then I've got a piece of crumb cake that's cut wide with 5.5 wide and then 8.5 inches long. And I've got 2 pieces of basic white that are cut 3 3/4 by 5. So you've got 2 of those. Then you just need a scrap white for your punch outs to be able to stamp your greeting and punch that out. And that's pretty much it. This one we're ready to stamp. So I'm gonna go ahead and start by folding our card base in half. Now I've gotten cold again, so I'm gonna turn my little heater back on again until we get like hot again. Okay, I'm gonna take my punch here and go ahead and punch out a label. And we will do a little stamping. So for me, when I'm stamping with this set, I find that I like to stamp with the outline image first, which would, this case would be the cookie outline. And then I like to fill in with that solid stamp. Some people like stamping the solid stamp and then filling in the detailed. It's really whatever preference you have. For me, that works well for me, filling in the solid image after I stamp the outline. So a couple of things to keep in mind, because we are using the early espresso, which is a very dark brown, and then we've got the crumb cake, which is much lighter. You want to remember to do the solid image in the crumb cake. Otherwise, your cookie will look like it's burnt, which who of us has not burnt cookies? But, you know, just pointing that out, definitely want to use the dark espresso for your outline image. Some of the ladies yesterday did, you know, as you're stamping, not realize that they were reaching for the crumb cake or the early espresso when they meant to reach for the crumb cake. So they had maybe like a burnt, what you would say is a burnt cookie image. And honestly, like I said at class, I'm like, you could just write a little note in your card and just be like, you know, we all burn the cookies, or like, sometimes life's just like that, you know. And I'm gonna put a couple cookies on the inside. And I think on the envelope, I'm just going to do 1 cookie there. I just recently re-inked this pad. I inked it after class because it was like it was very well loved at class. And so it needed a little bit of re-inking. As I was explaining to the ladies at class, when you're inking your ink pads, or when you're stamping, you know, you're inking them up to stamp. So inking your stamps, I guess I should say. Just a gentle touch on the ink pad. I don't even want to do it because it's like so aggressive that it just like, it kind of makes me cringe when I see people do it, but it happens all the time. But when you take this stamp and you press it so hard into the ink pad that there's literally an impression of a cookie on the ink pad, it is not necessary to press that hard on the ink pads. Just a gentle touch and you're good to go. So you will find by doing that, and like even see that one's a little dark. I mean, you can still see it's a little darker. It's because like I said, I freshly inked the pad. But a lot of times when you are stamping and if you have a heavy hand like that and you press really firmly, what you're actually doing is creating a suction on the stamp, and it will actually take more ink off the stamp than it will ink it. So you're kind of working against yourself when it comes to stamping. And it's really just one of those things that you kind of have to train yourself on, just like practice makes perfect, being like, Okay, I do not have to like press into this ink pad with an inch of its life. I can just gently tap it. That's the great thing about Stampin' Up! Products. They are very good quality and give you the look you want without a lot of aggressive stamping, I guess. Okay, so I've got my little cookies on there. Off my stamp and then clean that off. I think I'm done with this one, so tap that off with that cookie too. And then I need to stamp my label. So on my stamps, I've got today is, I'm going to do this in the early espresso. So today is A. And I'm going to come in with the cookies stamp next, and we're going to do that in pink there. The cookies. Love that. Okay. And then kind of day. So back with the espresso. Great. And then we're going to do the inside of our card. And we're going to do that. I'm going to do that one in pink. Stamp that, ink that up. And stamp that down in the center. And then ink my happy birthday. And do that right below. Okay. We've got all of our stamping done. Shut these ink pads up. And we are ready to assemble. My dimensional is there. Okay. So the first thing I want to do is come back in with my ribbon here. And grabbing, I had to turn away there. I'm grabbing a couple pieces of Scotch tape. So when I'm fastening ribbon around here, we're going to make like a faux tied bow around this card, because a lot of times it's hard for stampers to like manage that ribbon and get a bow tied in it to be tight like you want it and not like kind of loose with it still being tied around your cardstock. So I like to do this technique. So I'm going to put my ribbon right about here in the center. This is where I want to put it on my card, and flip over my card base. And then I'm going to take these two little pieces of Scotch tape that I pulled off of my dispenser. And then I'm just going to tape those little ends of my ribbon down on the back side. Flip that over, and I've got my ribbon band there. Next, what I'm going to do is take this pink label that had already had punched out, and on the flat sides, okay, so not any of this curved area here, but the flat sides, I'm going to take and cut that in half directly across. Okay. And grab some of my Stampin' Seal. So I'm going to take my label piece, flip that over, and just put a little adhesive on the top. Get that started. Sometimes you got to get your seal going a little bit. It has a tendency to want to pull, and I'm not getting it going enough there. And sometimes you have to just roll it with your finger a little bit, and then I've got it stuck to my finger there now. Okay, so I put a little adhesive on the top and bottom of this label. And what I'm going to do is come around with this half piece the label that I've cut in half, and just drop that down. So I've got a layer down below. And then I've got to do the same thing up top here. Okay. All right. And then I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back of that. Okay. And bring my card base in here. We're going to go ahead and start to assemble this. Ugh, that really came out a lot. So I'm going to put that on the inside of my card and then do the same thing with this next piece. Okay, and that's going to be on the front of our card. Putting that in place. And then I'll take off those dimensional backings to find a spot for that on the front of the card. And I'm just going to go ahead and center it as best I can there. And then I'm going to get some glue dots. And these are just some glue dots from the Paper Pumpkin kit. So I've just put those down, these little glue dots that come in the Paper Pumpkin kit. So if you just peel them off of the, well, easier for me to say. If you peel them off of the sheet, they have a little paper covering to them. Just peel that paper top off. And then that exposes the glue dot. And you can put your ribbon right on the card. I'm just going to trim up these ends. Okay. So then it looks like I have tied the bow, like wrapped the ribbon around and tied the bow, when in reality it's just sitting on top of that ribbon that we've pulled across the front of the card. So there we go. That's our second project, some little cookies on our card. Okay, I'm going to clean this up and come back with another creative project for you. All right. Okay, this next project that we're creating, it uses, and let me grab the, I didn't grab all the rest of the supplies. Hold on. Okay. Forgot my punches. It uses Coastal Cabana ink, the medium daisy punch, which there's a pretty good chance this is going to be retiring. I would not be surprised, but it's an adorable punch. And then our little 1/2-inch circle punch. I've got some Wink of Stella. I'm going to put a little sparkle on something. This is the Dots and Spots large detailed die. Let me take that out. There we go. So it makes these really cool fun dots. We're going to use it actually on this project and the next one coming up. And then I've used the stitched rectangle stitched frameless dies. And I've taken this size out of this die set to use. As far as stamp sets, I've chosen the Eden's Garden stamp set. There's a set of dies that go along with this stamp set. They're offered in a bundle, I believe. I think they're still bundled together in the catalog. A beautiful set of dies. The images that are in the stamp set are distinctive, so you get that depth of color and everything just by stamping the one image. But I particularly like the sentiments in this particular stamp set. I just think they're very kind and caring, and I love them. So we're going to do this Dear Friend, How Are You? Just a card that you can send to check in on a friend. I also had the Inspired Thoughts stamp set out at class, just in case there wasn't something in this stamp set that applied for somebody that they wanted to send the card out if they needed something different. This set also offers a great variety of different greetings. I'm just going to grab the Dear Friend out of there. On my block. Okay, that's all the pieces and parts and everything. I've also used some designer series paper that's part of the Dandy designs that we used on our first project, the fun polka dotted pattern. So you're going to need a scrap piece of that. You're also going to need a scrap piece of white. And then, of course, we've got our envelope. So we've got a piece of basic white that is cut 5.5 by 8.5. You need about a 2-inch by 8.5 piece of basic white cardstock. This is to punch our daisies out of. And then I've got another piece of white cardstock, and this one is 3 inches by 4.5. Then I've got a piece of Coastal Cabana. Now I've already die cut this out, but the Coastal Cabana, the size of this cardstock is 2 3/4 by 4 1/4. And I'll go ahead and get these little dots already out. And then I've got some designer series paper, and you've got one piece that is 1 inch by 4, and then one that is 3 inches by 5.5. Okay. I think that's everything of all of our pieces and parts and all the good stuff there. I'm going to grab my take your pick tool and just go ahead and get the rest of these little dots out, because I had die cut this. And I was actually cutting several for the ladies at class to kind of help with their timing and stuff like that. And I just ended up cutting a few more than we needed. So the great thing about this particular die is you get all these like little polka dots too. And because the theme on this card is polka dots, some of the ladies yesterday took their adhesive and put little dots on and added some of those little dots that come out just as like a waste product of the die, so to speak. And it was super cute what they did. Okay, so I've gone ahead and ran the cardstock through the Coastal Cabana to get the dotted piece that we need. So we've done that. The stitch rectangle die, I went ahead and ran that through the cut and emboss machine too. And I've got these two die cuts, and you can see they've got the stitching around them. That was a tight close-up, wasn't it? I saw that in the camera, I was like, well, it's really huge. Take this and put this out of the way. All right, so let's go ahead and punch our daisies. We're going to get all of our pieces and parts together here. Oh, and I should have showed you the card. I didn't do that. So I'm going to punch out 4 daisies. Okay, so we've got that done. Oh, that's gotten all stuck in there now. Hang on. There we go. Okay. Oh, the little petals just got kind of stuck in there and jammed it all up. So we've got those. And I had already done a little 1/2-inch circle punch out of the Coastal Cabana. I did several at class, so I've already got those already punched out. Actually, so we're going to need 2. I'm going to take 2 out of there. And these things aside here. Okay, I'm going to come back in and fold our card base in half. All right, let me show you the card. I'm sorry, I should have showed you that before we started. So this is the card we're going to create. Just a simple card with just, oh gosh, we've got 4 or 5, 6 layers on here, quite a few layers. But I love the simple design of it. I love the pop of the paper, the DSP, and then of course this design, this detailed die does a lot of the fun work for you, gives you that nice added texture. And then I don't know if you probably can't see it on the camera, but we've got some Wink of Stella on the center of the daisy there. And then we went ahead and took that card design on the inside and put another strip of that DSP that we've got on the front here on the inside, and then put another daisy just to kind of finish that card and to bring that look inside. So everything is pretty much flat to the card. There's no dimensionals on here because we do have so many layers. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp my greeting. And I'm going to do the dear friend, how are you? Because as I said, I really love that sentiment. I feel like it can be used for a lot of different occasions. And let's see. I need something to stamp on my envelope. Let's do a little side trip here and let me get something stamped on here. And use something out of here. Maybe I'll just use this simple piece here. Okay, trying to get it to go different ways here. Okay, yeah, like that. That'll work. All right, clean that stamp off. Paper out of the way here, and we're ready to go ahead and start assembling. We're going to start by putting our designer series paper down. Stampin' Up! Always makes it hard because they give you two sides to each piece of paper and you've got to determine which side you really want to use. Of course, in our Fun Folds class that we just did here last week, I showed you a couple of designs where you could end up using both sides of the paper to be able to appreciate both in your one project. So feel free to go back and watch that. There's some great Fun Folds in there and some fun tips about designer series paper too. So when you're using this die and you're putting adhesive on here, you look at it and you're like, there's dots everywhere. Like, where do I just kind of dot and kind of go, around this way? But this is the trick I like to use with this particular die. If you think about it, there's a line in between each of these dots. And I just draw my adhesive in those lines. It makes it really easy. Then you're not getting adhesive all over your fingers. See how I just put adhesive down on the diagonal in the lines, or yeah, between the lines where there's not any little dots. So then layer it. That way it lets you put it down on your white cardstock and you don't have to worry about adhesive in those dots and then you getting it all over your fingers, and it's like a whole thing, whole situation. And you're gonna need the baby wipes and all the good things, all the crazy things. All right, so I'm gonna put this on and I'm gonna slightly offset it a little bit so it's a little more to the right than it is to the left. So it kind of lets you see a little bit more of that designer series paper. And then put some adhesive on my daisy piece, or not daisy piece, the polka dotted piece. I'm like, I've got daisies on my mind here. Okay, now we've got to build our daisies. So I'm gonna just put some adhesive in the center of two of them. And then I'm gonna take and offset my petals so that way I'll get a fuller daisy, as opposed to the single one. If you offset the petals, you get a nice full daisy. Do the same thing on this one. And the great thing about using the liquid glue, I can kind of play with it a bit and move those around. Then I'm going to put another dot of adhesive and put my centers on the daisies. Look at those little Coastal Cabana centers right on the center of my daisy. And then I'm going to come in with the Wink of Stella. And it comes out pretty generously, so you don't want to like go squeezing it and all crazy, or you're going to have a lot of glitter on your project, way more than you want. You just want a nice little subtle shimmer. And I know it's hard to see this on camera, so it's difficult to appreciate. You can't quite see the shine, but know that it is beautiful. Okay. And then I'm going to put a little adhesive on the back of this daisy. place it on top of my polka dots. I think it kind of looks like it's like a little vase for it. That's the way I was interpreting it anyway. That was my vision for the project. So I'm going to put some adhesive on the back of our greeting piece and layer that kind of right over it a bit. And then to the inside of our card, we're going to put some adhesive on this little strip. And then we'll go ahead and put some adhesive on the back of that daisy. Let me close this up. And we'll put our pieces in place. Okay. Now what I've done is kind of offset it to the corner. So there's a little bit of a gap right here. I'm going to put my daisy right there. But you want to do it in a way that those petals are inside your card. You don't want them to lay over so that you can see petals beyond the card itself, because then it won't fit in your envelope. Okay, there we go. There's our third project. Okay, let me clean up the supplies for this one, and I have one more project to share with you. All righty. Okay, I'm going to remember to do the card here first. Okay, so this is the project that we're making. We're going to use that polka dot die again, and then we're also using some fun dies and stamps in the Nature's Prints stamp set, and some beautiful crumb cake and Night of Navy. We're also bringing that twine pat back in, and we're going to put a little twine bow and the crumb cake on the front of our project. So let me go ahead and let you know the supplies that we've got here, size measurements. So we've got a piece of crumb cake that is 5.5 by 8.5. We've got a scrap piece of Very Vanilla that we're going to use for our die cutting. I've got a piece of Very Vanilla for the inside that is 4 by 5.25. A piece of Night of Navy that is, it is 3.5 by 5.25. And then I've got a piece of crumb cake that I've already gone ahead and die cut the dots out of, and that is 3.25 by 5. And that's going to go over top of the navy layer. And then of course I've got my envelope. Now you need to have, you're going to need to have an extra piece of crumb cake, Night of Navy, and of course I've already got the Very Vanilla for our die cutting. But I went ahead and die cut out the label for us out of the crumb cake, and then these two little pieces out of Night of Navy that we're going to add to our card front. Okay. The stamp set that we're using is Nature's Prints. So you've got some nice nature images and then like a little splatter stamp, and then 4 different verses on this. It also has a set of dies, which I've kind of got them, well, they're all jumbled in here. So you can kind of see we use that label. This is the 2 little sprigs that I die cut out of the navy. And then I've got this little, I think this is like a ginkgo type greenery piece. So I've got that die, and we're going to die cut that out. Now at class, I also put the Through It Together stamp set out in case they need, somebody needed something different to kind of put on the inside, depending on what the person that they wanted to send the card to might be going through. So this is a great sentiment stamp set. It's a total of 21 little sentiments in there for all kinds of things that you need for like caring, love, and support. So we're using the Dots and Spots die again, and the Night of Navy ink. All right, so let's go ahead and start by folding our card base in half. Okay. And then I'm going to do a little stamping. Let's bring our stamping mat in here that's always very well loved at this point. And I'm going to stamp a few of these. Like I said, I think it's like a ginkgo leaf, but I don't know. Maybe somebody can correct me. Feel free to leave it in the comments what you think it might be. I'm going to stamp And I think I'm gonna go ahead and put one up here too. Okay, I'm gonna set that aside. Go ahead and stamp our envelope. Let's do the front corner on this one. Envelope. And then we need one to die cut out. So we're gonna put that one on. And tap off the stamp a little bit and get that cleaned off on our chamois. And come back in with the label. I need to stamp the greeting on that one. And let's see. I'm gonna do You Are On My Mind. Do that one. Okay. And then I think that's all of our stamping. So I'm gonna go ahead and close the ink pads, and we're kind of pretty much ready to assemble at this point. So I've gone ahead, taken that, where's my little die at? There it is. I went ahead, took my stamped image and ran that through the cut and emboss machine, and that's going to give me this guy. So I've already gone ahead and done that. And we've got all the pieces that we're ready to assemble our cards with. I need to come back in with this twine pack because I'm going to need to make a little bow here. So on this card, these are set up. So if you would like to layer them because you like everything to be symmetric and just in line and all that, they are cut. They're cut so that they will layer. But on my card, I went ahead and angled them. I angled this one, the navy, and then I put this one on straight. Okay. But I also put this on with dimensionals. So I'm going to show you how I did it. Again, you can layer it so that it's all, you know, straight and kind of in the frame of the card. So let me show you what I've done and how to accomplish that if you want to do it that way too. So I went and took my card stock and just kind of put it at an angle like this, flatten that down. And then grab my scissors. So I've got that in place there. I'm just going to flip it over. Okay. And then I'm just going to trim those little pieces that are sticking out, the angled pieces. Okay. So it's just very little pieces, but I just trimmed them so they stay within the frame of the card. And then I want to put some dimensionals on. Now for this one, I'm going to use the mini dimensionals because I can put them kind of right in between the little dots. You don't need a ton of them, but you do need more than just a couple. So I'm going to say, see how many it looks like we're going to use here. So 2, 4, 6, 8. So 8. And just peel those tabs off the top. Go. And then put that over. And again, so on this one, I am going to put that straight up and down the sides and all that. So in the frame of my card there. So I've got that all in place. And then I'm going to put, where's my label? It was like right in front of me. Put that there. So I'm going to put another dimensional just on the end here, just a mini, because I'm going to hang it over a little bit. So it's going to sit on that navy. So I don't want to just kind of like hang in there in the wind. I'm going to put a little dimensional on there so it will fasten it down to the cardstock. So we're going to put that in place. Okay. And then come in with my die cut pieces. And I'll go ahead and put some adhesive on these little guys. Now these are tiny, So I just need, I can get my adhesive started. I just need a couple little dots of adhesive. Let me put this one in place. Let me get that in place right here. And I'll come out this one. Put that over top. And then our second one. And put this one in. Just angle that a little bit. Just hold that down so those take hold. And inside layer in there, I want to add a bow to finish that off. Inside layer. There we go. Okay. And then I'm going to grab some twine here and grab the crumb cake twine. And I'm just going to tie a little bow. So I like to tie just right off the spool of whatever I'm working with. And I'll just take like a couple inches there and kind of just make the loop on my finger. Hold that between my thumb and my index finger and make a little bow. I don't know, you're tying your shoe, however you find it best to make bows. But if you've got the kit to go, I've already made these bows for you. So you should find them in your kit. That's what I've done. So I'm just gonna look here. Some glue dots. Come in with one of these glue dots. And like I said, these are the ones from the paper pumpkin. So they're like a little smaller than our normal glue dots. I like to use 2 of these little guys myself. They are smaller than our regular ones that we have in the catalog. So I just want to make sure it's going to be tight on there. And I'm going to trim those ends down just a bit. There we go. Right. And where's my envelope? And there we go. We've got our envelope and our card all set, layered on the front, layered inside. You move this stuff out of the way so you can get all the projects in case you want to do like a screenshot to get them all in the shot. I typically will send the visuals when you've got a kit to go, but just in case. Okay, so we've got this one and then the daisy card that we made. So put that there. And then we've got our adorable cookie card. Put this one over here. And lastly, the happy place card, which is fun and happy with all the colors. So if you want to do a screenshot, you can get them all in there so that you have a visual of them. Again, if there's anything that you use or that you saw today in the class that you would like to get yourself, this is my current host code and this is my online store, the stampingyoucrazy.stampinup.net. I always appreciate your orders. It's what supports my small creative business and I am very much grateful for that. If you have interest in the stamping classes, please reach out to me and let me know. They should be in the registration for the Y to be able to go ahead and register. But if you're on my email list, just watch for that email to come through. I'll confirm that for sure, but I'm fairly certain they're already in the system. So let me flip the camera back here. Okay. All right. So we're all done stamping. I hope that you enjoyed the creative projects that I shared with you today and that it provided you with some creative inspiration for you to go and create some cards yourself and make a little paper sunshine to send along and brighten somebody's day. So that's all I have to share with you today. I thank you for joining me. And please remember, like I said, to like and subscribe. so that I can continue to build my YouTube channel. And I'm very grateful for your support of my creative business. So, all right, until next time, happy stamping.